They're not. Yeah, they're good.
You guys all ready?
They're good on being lazy.
Just a reminder to everyone, we do have a sign-up sheet on the podium or at the back of the room if you do intend to speak tonight. Just make sure you get on that list. And you guys all ready? I'm going to call this meeting to order, dated February 20th, 2024. It is now 6:30. Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Here.
Trustee Hartz.
Here.
Trustee Moreland.
Here.
Trustee Thomas.
Here.
Trustee Wolf.
Here.
Trustee Ah.
Here.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Here. All right, would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, did everybody get a chance to go over the agenda for tonight?
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, does the board have any conflicts of interest to announce at this time?
Yes. Is it Orchard?
Yeah, it's
So it's
Both of you, 3B.
3B and 6B.
6B.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll now open it up for general public input. If any members of the audience would like to address the board not pertaining to items on the agenda, feel free to state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Ooh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ooh, can you hear me now? Luann Wilson, 1591 County Road 526. I have a statement and a request. I've come to only a few meetings. I've learned a lot. I want to continue to learn a lot. My request is, there's so many times I can't hear anybody speaking, even when the heater's not running. So my request is, I'm going to say louder, please. And I can say it either in the middle of what you're saying, at the beginning, or in the end. And if it's at the end, maybe you'll repeat the whole thing. But I'm giving myself permission to say louder, please, because I want to hear what people have to say. Thank you.
All right.
Now, if our microphone works as good as yours.
Well, I'm
They do seem higher today.
I'm also speaking to people who do this all the time. They're the ones I can't hear more so than the public.
Okay, you heard. Noted.
I have excellent hearing.
Okay. Anybody else? Public input. Name and address for the record.
My name is Teddy Jack. I live on 542 West North Street for the last 28 years. And I got a letter in the mail the other day that said some streets get better snow plowing depending on their priority. So I was a low priority street apparently. I'm not getting the same service as the rest of the town, but I'm paying the same bill. Maybe you could reduce my bill a little bit every month, give me a little lower priority on my payment. And I know you're not going to, but what do you intend to do with the property across the river that was willed from the Gosneys?
I mean,
Do you have any immediate plans for that?
I'm not sure what you're,
Any offers to sell it?
I don't know what
Okay, that's what I want.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think
The
the best thing
barns?
is to actually identify which property, because there's, Gosney has quite a bit of property, and maybe come in and talk to me, Teddy.
But I would like to have a higher priority. We've got disabled people. I cannot, I've had too many heart attacks to shovel that much snow. And we need to get better snow removal on North Street.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to our community grant requests. First up is Community Connections. Do we have a representative from? All right.
Hello there. Good evening. My name is Lisa Brammer, and I'm the Vice President Marketing and Development for Community Connections. And I wanted to just start out by thanking the town of Bayfield for its long-standing partnership and support of our work. As you know, we're a nonprofit that serves people with disabilities in a 5-county region here in Southwest Colorado. And we serve everyone from infants to elders. This past year, more than 884 people received over 400,000 hours of service from our organization. And 93 of those individuals and families reside in the town of Bayfield. Tonight, I'd like to share a story about one of the families in services with us. It's the story of Hannah Zorn and her family. And this demonstrates the impact of our organization throughout the region. So Hannah is the parent of a child with knee-high lung disease, which requires her daughter to be on oxygen 24 hours a day. And we know that caregivers can often feel isolated and alone. They neglect their own needs to take care of their loved ones. And that is definitely the case with many of the families that we serve who are dealing with family members who have disabilities. With grant funding this year, Hannah's family and 14 other families were able to participate in a new pilot program called Ashes to Diamonds that we offered. And this program focuses on the well-being of the caretakers, their physical, social, emotional, financial well-being. And it puts parents and caretakers in a better position to provide support for their child with a disability. It strengthens the family bond and helps those families thrive. And I have some of Hannah's own words here to demonstrate that impact for her family. She said, "I felt like as a mom, I just had to keep going because that's what I was supposed to do. There was very little room for taking care of me. Now I see I can change that inner dialogue, and it is imperative for me to focus on my needs too. The program helped me find balance as a parent so I can care for my daughter and still fill my own cup." So that's just one example of how our programs are supporting our friends and neighbors with disabilities and helping strengthen the social fabric of our communities. And support from municipalities like the town of Bayfield is crucial to our ability to carry on this work. So thank you again for your past support and your consideration of our request in 2024. And I'm happy at this point to entertain any questions the board might have.
All right, thank you. Lisa, does the board have any questions for Lisa this time? We're looking to make a decision now if you want to have any discussion.
I think it's a good cause. We have done it multiple years in a row. So, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to award Community Connections $1,000.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, thank you, Lisa, for being here with us.
Wonderful. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, next up is Pine River Shares.
I didn't know I was going to be alone. Hi, guys. I am Sarah Grover. I'm the co-director of Pine River Shares. I'm getting nervous, so I have to write a few things to keep me on topic. I manage our food support programs and our patron services. Last year, we served over 30,000 residents in our family programs and kid programs and individual, and including 8,000 bags of food given to Pine River Valley kids, elementary school age. And we're just looking for support for our summer program that we are going to plan on doing with the library as well as other community partners, hosting at the library to reach as many kids as possible. We're planning on serving about 1,200 kids over the summer and continuing our food support that we do currently in the elementary schools. So we want to continue that in the summer. With the high cost of living and food costs soaring, we want to make sure that the kids are fed, as well as families and our other food programs. And thank you so much for all your support in the past, and we appreciate you listening to us. Paul, do you want to say more? I didn't know I was the only one talking.
You did great. Don't worry about it.
Does the board have any questions at
No.
this time? All right. right, same thing. I'd like to make a decision tonight.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to award Pine River Shares $1,000.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do for our community.
Sure.
All right, well, next we'll talk about the rescheduling of the April 2nd meeting according to the doodle poll. It looks like we're going to the 1st. Is that what's?
Is that, it? Yes, and actually, the code gives you that authority to do that, but I wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to weigh in. This was sent, the survey was sent to the tree board leadership and to the board of trustees. April 1st is actually April Fool's Day, but it's probably the best day to have a meeting versus trying to figure out what to do in the boardroom and an election, and we have downtown Colorado that night and some other things going on, so.
Have we always had it in this room? The
Uh,
election?
the last time we had it during COVID, and we were out there in the
Had to be in the
parking lot.
Okay, and,
But then, yes, we've had it here, and then we've moved our meeting upstairs.
oh, okay.
But it gets a little tough if there's public comment. It's a small room,
Yeah, it's
so.
very tiny.
But who is not gonna be in town? You're not here.
I can't do a Monday meeting with the kids' practice schedule, so.
But we'll still have, everyone else could do a Monday night?
Yep.
And then that just frees you guys up to, well, frees up town hall for the
It frees
election.
up town hall and also frees us, anybody that would like to go to downtown Colorado, which is actually local, so.
So do we need a motion or just direction to,
Think a motion be appropriate,
Okay.
a motion
since the
to?
schedule has been set by you each year.
All right, we will need a motion to move the meeting to April 1st.
Are we, same time, right? I can't remember.
Same time,
It
yeah.
would be same
place.
time, yes.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to move our regularly scheduled meeting from April the 2nd, which is a Tuesday, to Monday, April the 1st. Same time.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
No.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, Downtown Colorado Inc., did you want to go over that, Katie?
Yes, so Downtown Colorado Inc. is basically a organization that provides seminars and all kinds of resources for revitalizing your main street, your downtown area, and attracting people back to the downtown. So this actually is in Durango, from April 2nd to April 5th. And the town is a member of Downtown Colorado Incorporated, so if you see those regular pricings for a full event, that is the amount. I think it's always really helpful for elected officials to go to understand kind of what other communities are doing. You're going to hear from more communities than just Durango at those events. And as we're looking at redoing, the Mill Street revitalization and looking at our downtown, this may be something that you may be interested in. It's also good for businesses to attend as well. So you may be looking at possibly having a, sponsorship or a scholarship for a business to attend as well. So I thought I'd bring that before you.
All right, so let Katie know if you're interested in any of that on the schedule. Any questions or?
Nope.
All right, we'll move on to the Riverside La Plata County application for off-premise liquor license.
So this liquor license is not within your authority. However, it has come to staff for our review, for our comments. Town staff has provided some comments. If the department directors that provided comments would like to speak, that's fine. But we wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to review this. This is on the north side of US 160. It's actually just, as they're expanding their options at the RV park, maybe they're looking to actually provide the alcohol in their store as well. So you do have the document that we got from the county.
Yeah, I was reading this and I was really curious what the point was. Maybe I'm missing it. Off premises means they can sell it, but you can't consume it in their park?
No, you can't. You can consume it in there now. They're just looking to make some money and put in a little liquor store for the park.
Okay, because in this email it says, pack your sales only, not.
It means they
not
don't
to be
have
consumed.
they don't have the thing that pours
Okay.
the beer.
Okay, see, that's what I'm
just
not a-
I'm like,
yeah.
Pop
so what's
tops.
the point of that? Okay.
And I think the concern, Chief, you might want to elaborate, but I think the concern is we would be the first agency on call if there's an issue. And
Yes, it's in La Plata County District, but we're the closest unit to any property that's adjacent to the town of Bayfield. So with our working agreement with the sheriff's office, we go as the assistants. We handle it, try to handle it as best we can until they get there. It's their call. We did have discussions over concerns. I've traveled extensively in RV parks and everything for a long time. I've never been to an RV park that sold on-site liquor. It brings a different sort of element to the atmosphere there. I mean, people bring in their own alcohol anyway if they're going to do it, but having it there, you're going to run into underage drinking, you're going to run into disturbances, domestics, and any other alcohol-related incidents because it's being provided there at somewhat of a cost, but it's more readily available on site now.
It's more readily available in gas stations, grocery stores, dollar stores,
Yeah.
everywhere here. I don't
Yeah.
know what the difference is really. I mean, you have to respond to calls anywhere there.
So-
Not that they're isolated, but
They don't
I
respond
don't
to
think,
calls, though.
I think isn't this a new thing for RV parks, relatively new, that they can have liquor on their properties?
no, I just think it's new for us to actually have an opinion on.
Yeah,
You know.
and then as far as our opinion, do we print this out and give it to you, the form with our opinion on it, or how do we get our opinion on that?
So as far as the Board of Trustees, you can make that opinion tonight. So when you talk about it's readily available to most of the businesses that are in town, that collect sales tax for the town, that pay property tax to the town, basically to support the police department. In this case, you're looking at a business that's going to sell alcohol that we may be impacted by alcohol sales at this location, but we're not collecting any other additional tax. So it is eligible, from my looks, that it's eligible to be annexed. We do provide them sewer services at the time. So yes, it's readily available within town, but it's a different revenue generator for those businesses that are in town.
Oh, I was just referring to the police calls. I understand.
Yeah.
In town,
it's
out of town.
It's ultimately not our decision. It's going to
Right.
go through county review, but I appreciate that they actually, said, hey, this is in your backyard. What do you think? I don't recall ever seeing one of these come across our desk before.
Well, it's in our 3-mile zone.
Right.
I mean, they have to ask our opinion on it.
So,
I mean, yeah, liquor is readily available anywhere here, but if you've got, people that are, carrying on a little too much and they run out, they have the ability to buy more at that store and increase problems, so.
Well, not only
That's
that, I
kinda
mean,
weird.
how late are they gonna stay open and, what kind of,
And how many of those
Rules
people
on
are
that,
gonna
I
go
think.
to
So,
dinner?
so those are things that if you feel that there should be the time of the opening of this grocery store for liquor sales should come back to you. Those are things that you can say, we would like to make sure that they're open for liquor sales 11 to 7, and you can make that decision however you would like, or some other interpretation of how you would like to protect our community as well.
I think
I-
the annexation is a good idea.
Well,
Well, I mean, they
li-
don't have to.
You can't make them do
I
that.
also,
Um,
it's, you know, it's a free market. If somebody
Yep,
wants
it
to
is.
put in a business and make money, I'm
Yep.
also kind of like,
Yep.
people should be
Yeah.
able to do what they want with.
I do
their
think
land,
they
but-
should take into consideration the fact that, I mean, we are still short-staffed. They're not always in this area, so if there's a problem, it's our police officers that are taking care of it and not theirs, because they are far away a lot of times. So it does have a cost to the town of Bayfield on that. I also, worry about, I know that the gas station right there on the corner reduced their hours after what happened to that young lady, to prevent derelicts being in that area late at night. And so hours are a concern to me, that I would like to have that addressed, that they not be super late at night selling booze.
I agree with the hours.
Yeah.
But I also agree that they should be able to, I mean, if they're a market and the county approves their liquor license,
Oh, yeah, I
that's
don't have
up
a
to them.
problem
But
with
yeah,
that.
I think that
But they
our-
should have people in the area to take care of it.
Yeah, I think our comment should be, I mean, if someone, how many spots are in that
I mean,
park?
that place gets,
A lot.
it's a
There's
lot.
Yeah,
But it's a
so,
high-end park too. It's not gonna be in.
Chief, have we had any calls there?
What's the difference
Like-
between those people buying liquor there
Mm-hmm.
and going out to a restaurant here or to the bar and driving home? You're still gonna have an incident,
Yeah.
one
Or-
way or the other, so
Or
it's
if
not really.
You know, if it's contained in there and they run out, they
Then
can
they're
just go
right
there. They
there.
don't have to get on the road. go to
Right,
the-
exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I can see it always, but I feel like, I mean, we are welcome to contribute our discussion.
And are they
Points
only going to
and-
be selling to the people in the park, or are they going to be selling to just anybody? Because if they're just selling to just anybody, that can be a problem too.
That type of license doesn't discriminate at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's- yeah.
Well, I'll go to the gas station before I go to the RV park.
Unless the gas station's closed and you're partying
And then I'll
it
go
up
to the
in
grocery
the middle
store.
of the night. I mean,
Or the
like,
dollar store.
I'm thinking about these young 21-something-year-olds, and they're
mean,
out
they-
party hardy. I can't party
They
hard
don't have
anymore.
$100,000.
I mean, they gotta follow all the same rules as everybody else. You
If they
know.
find a place that's going to be open, they're going to go for it.
They don't leave you a lot of room to write on that form like I was showing Chief earlier this morning. So again, if you guys want to get those comments to me, I can put it in as an addendum and send it back to the county.
All right.
And maybe a question for the attorney, if they sent them in individually, it would be their individual opposition or in favor.
Yeah, it'd be bad, I mean, if they wanted to do something as a town, they ought to
Yeah.
get some sort of consensus. So individual statements are your individual recommendations, which I'm sure will be entertained.
Okay. When do you need that by? When do you want that by?
I'd have to look at the form.
Oh,
Well, should we fill it out and then table it till the next meeting?
I know, they're probably gonna be getting ready to go through the process, go through their hearing.
Yeah, I don't see any.
Public hearing date, March 12th.
Yeah, so
So-
they're on a deadline, so. I would just try to get those into Dustin ASAP, your comments, if you
Okay.
want. Okay, good. This time, I'll go ahead and pause our regular scheduled meeting and open up our public hearing section. Our first public hearing is on ordinance 498. And Nicole, I'm gonna turn that over to you.
Can everybody hear me? I've been sick, so I want to make sure my voice is carrying. So this is a land use text amendment for flood damage, our flood damage prevention section of the code, which is Article 9. FEMA has spent the last couple of years relooking at their FEMA has been looking at their FIS and FIRM, which is their flood insurance study and their flood insurance rate maps. And those have changed for the town of Bayfield. I'd say the majority of our 100-year floodplains have receded. So property that used to have 100-year floodplain may not anymore. The floodway, which is the area that's always inundated with water, has not changed too much along the river, but the floodplains have changed in the Bayfield area. And the town of Bayfield has adopted the FEMA maps as they've been updated from time to time, as well as the insurance study. And on April 25th, 2024, a new FEMA firm and FIS are required to be adopted by the county as well as jurisdictions in the county if we want to remain members of the National Flood Insurance Program. And what the NFIP does is it allows residents in the community to purchase flood insurance. So if they have 100-year or 500-year flood on their property, or if you're in an area that sees flooding, like during our big flood events, you're allowed to purchase flood insurance because we're members of the NFIP. And that's because we continue to adopt the FEMA updates. And so, again, the new update goes into effect April 25th. The FEMA had a couple years to do it, but they gave us 90 days before we would be out of compliance and therefore lose our NFIP. And so that's what this code section is about. It's mandated by FEMA and the state of Colorado in order to keep the NFIP accurate for the town of Bayfield. There are minor changes to our flood section of the land use code. I did have the state take a look at it. They offered to do that, and I said, sure, you know, that'd be great to have some second eyes on it, and they said it was written pretty well. So there was only 2 areas that really needed amendments, and that's to the definitions. We don't have a definition for base flood, and so we need to add that. And also section 9.7, we just need to change the date. The last time we adopted the firm and FIS study was August 19 of 2010, so that does need to be updated to the April 25th, 2024 date for the new maps. And then I also just added that I'll keep those in perpetuity on the town's website, so if anybody ever wants access to them, I will have them to remain on the town's website. And then just wanted to point out the La Plata County on their GIS, which I have up right now. They have really good maps for the floodways, floodplains, and they have updated it with the newer map information. That is, I think it says draft until the April date, but so they do have the updated maps already on their website. I'm happy to answer any questions that you would have, and then this would have an associated ordinance 498, which you'll see later in your agenda. But happy to answer any questions that you have of staff.
I have a comment. Knowing full well you have a surveyor on board, why didn't you include the firm?
What do you mean?
The flood insurance rate map
I did.
in the packet?
Oh, no, I sent you to the website link because they were really big. It shows the whole area, so I don't think you could have seen it so well on a 11 by 17 or 8.5 by 11. But I put it on the website.
Oh, I missed the link.
The link's at the bottom of your of
Okay.
the staff report. All the documents were there.
Okay, I missed that. My bad.
Any other questions, comments from the board? This is a public hearing, so we could take public comment. Just step up to the microphone and name and address for the record, please.
Are we talking about the floodplain?
Yes.
I'm probably the only one in this room that lives by the river, and they mumble their way through their speeches, and I can't have a word, I can't understand a word
Teddy,
she
we can get
says.
you
Can I
copies
get
of the
this in
document.
writing, what the old law is and what the amendment they want to draft, the new, can I get copies of these things in writing?
Teddy, if you want to call me, I'll meet with you.
I wish people would have had speech class in high school.
Are you wearing your hearing aids today, Teddy?
Just call me and I'll go through it with you.
Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open up our second public hearing, the Orchard PUD amendment. These girls are step out into the hallway.
Do I have applicants here? I can't, okay, I couldn't see them. All right. Since I have the GIS up, I'll go ahead and zoom in to the property. All right, so Orchard LLC. This project was in front of the Board of Trustees in 2022 for approvals. They got approval for 14 units on this property. There'll be 9 single-family homes, and you can see the platted lots. It's already been platted. I can select one to show you. So there's 9 single-family homes that wrap the Orchard subdivision, and then there's 1 multifamily lot that was going to have 5 attached townhomes. And as they got into more further details for the plans for the townhomes, they realized that they'd either need to do 2 things. They'd either need to ask the board, the Planning Commission and Board of Trustees, to allow an increase in lot coverage to fit 5 units on that property, or they would need to reduce the number of units. And so they've chosen to reduce the number of units, and they can explain that process and what they went through in a little bit more detail. And so now they just want to do 4 units on that property instead of 5, and make them duplex, so they'll have space in between. So you have 2 attached with some space in between versus 5 attached. And so as part of that, they do need to amend their PUD guide, because plan unit development is a negotiated zoning, and so that ultimately is approved by the Board of Trustees. So they need to amend the PUD guide, and they need to amend their subdivision improvement agreement to reflect the changes of the number of units. And so this approval would include amending those 2 documents, which I did redline for everybody to see. They're pretty minor amendments. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have of staff, and the applicant is present if you have any questions of him.
All right, any questions? And the applicant is here. You're free to make any statements or additions to that, or?
None really. It was the FAR, but it turned out to work better with the 2 duplexes rather than 5 units anyway, for parking, drainage,
Do you wanna-
snow.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm yelling. I don't have anything to say.
All right, board have any questions for the applicant? All right, do we have any public comment? Seeing none. We will go ahead and close our public hearing section. We'll get the girls back in the room. Okay, did everybody get a chance to go over the minutes from February 6th?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the February 6, 2024 minutes.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Zazzaro?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee Thomas?
Yes.
Trustee Wolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ah?
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our department reports. Jeremy, Public Works. Would you like to highlight your report?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, trustees. This is loud. Can you hear? Yeah. I'm like, holy cow. Anyway, we kind of had a little bit of a downtick in construction activities. 16 locate tickets that came through, so that was kind of nice versus, the 60 or 70 we've been seeing. We did have 1 report of a water leak on Louisiana. We were able to use new correlation equipment that we just purchased. When simulating a leak with the correlation equipment out there, it's obvious that it's not potable water. So we'll keep an eye on it. It's groundwater of some kind, potentially. There was another sewer strike. The fiber guys got Pine River Pond. So that was exciting, putting those through. That's repaired by Clear Networks. Not really a whole lot for storm drains and irrigation ditches. SGM still is working on a stormwater study. And I think we got all the legwork done and information over to them for that. Streets and right-of-ways, we do have the repaving of Tamarack and Los Pinos going out. Tomorrow is a pre-bid meeting, so hopefully we'll get favorable pricing back for that. What else we got in here? We finally found a pallet of cold patch, so we'll be addressing potholes off and on. I know the one at Dove Ranch was problematic. We got a lot of complaints. So we do have a pallet in the shop, so as those pop up, if you guys let us know, we'll get them taken care of. Yeah, a couple oil changes for police department and marshals, and then, snowplows, blade replacement, and basic maintenance. We did have 2 operators. Mr. John House passed a distribution 4 exam, which is pretty impressive, and then Lucas Horn also passed his collection 1.
Who else did?
Lucas Horn?
Oh, look, okay.
Yep. And that's all I got, unless you had questions.
Well, congrats to your staff. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our police chief, Mike.
Yes, good evening. The key card system is now full use. We are still working with Stone Security to work on some issues with the senior center. Hopefully that'll get taken care of in the next couple of weeks. January is a very busy month for the department. I'm going to start off with some use of force. We had 2 incidents where officers had to use force. First one was a big disturbance in the morning hours. Myself and another officer responded to a stabbing. We were able to extract the victim out of the house and get them to safety and get him to the hospital where everything worked out for him. We were able to take the suspect into custody without incident. The other one was when we were assisting the La Plata County Sheriff's Office in apprehending a fugitive here in town. The suspect resisted. We were able to take that subject into custody without any further resistance. So both incidents fell within policy. As we go further, the bigger discussions for us is going to be Spillman and utility. So for the next 2-3 weeks, we are going to be swamped with our changes. We're going into Spillman. That's going to be implemented. Training has already started. We got full training next week, and then we'll have our in-car computers and all of our computer-aided dispatch up and running by March 10th. Then 2 days later, utility will show up and rebuild all of our cars with the in-car camera systems that we purchased through utility. So we'll have the most up-to-date system for body-worn cameras and in-car cameras to get us in compliance with the Senate Bill 217. So for the next 3 to 4 weeks, we are going to be in a big transition, getting all this new technology, all the new updates and everything like that, but we're ready for it, and it's going to bring us into the new age of policing. The last thing is recruitment. We have 1 spot that's still open. We have 1 candidate that's in the application process right now. We're going to meet with him this week. He should have his post by June, and if he gets hired, we'll be at full staff, knock on wood.
Fingers crossed.
And next month will be a longer list of stuff that we've accomplished in February.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious. There's a marijuana possession line on your list of calls. And there was a call on Monday. What is that for?
Mean yesterday?
Maybe last week.
This would have been.
Could be like
I'll have to apologize. Last week I was out of the office with the flu.
Oh, no, this was January 1st. This was for January.
It's on your report.
It's on your report. I just wondered why there's a line for it. What kind of calls do you do for that?
If they're underage, you could have marijuana possession.
Oh. Marijuana possession? We
Yeah.
get a lot of them. Most of the times they're within the school district.
Okay, gotcha.
And so it is unlawful possession when
Right.
juveniles have it. So we're not going to see a lot of that on the blog because we can't identify them. And they will go through the juvenile court system here in our municipal court. And then we let the court adjudicate them. But a lot of our possession charges are with the school.
Gotcha. I have one other question. As we see the news, it's kind of in the back of my mind with the election coming up. And I know we have a posting on the front door saying no guns are allowed, but is there any way that we could have some kind of protection around that doorway back there?
Putting up a metal detector would be either, I'll have to get with.
Well, not a metal, like a person.
You're just
An
talking like
officer
for
or
security
something.
during the
Yeah,
election?
for security during the meetings. I mean, we're pretty.
Am I not enough?
He's like, what am I?
You're over there. Like, could you just sit back there by the door?
Okay.
Got a better shot. Our eyes get
But
this
this is
big
the
and
reason
he
why I
knows.
do sit here, so I can see this and I don't have my back
He's got to duck
everybody.
behind it so he can pull the gun out.
I got Mark and I between
I have a-
everybody.
With the gun, we're all gone.
We do have a system set up. I do have an officer on duty that knows the meeting's going on, and they're supposed to stay in this area during the time it's gonna, I text that officer, and he will, when the meetings are getting out, so he can be on the parking lot and around the premises so that everybody's safe. I always usually leave a couple of minutes. As soon as she starts doing the last thing, I go put my stuff up and stand in the parking lot and do a walkthrough to make sure there's nobody out there so that everybody can go out and be safe. So we do have a little system in place already, but for the election, I can get with
No,
Katie.
not for the election, for these meetings. Like, somebody can walk in that door, they can have their gun out, they can come right to that doorway, and we're all gone in a second,
Yes.
before you have time to respond. And
I mean,
just seeing.
they could do that at the grocery store. They
Right,
could do that.
they can,
I have a
but-
panic button down here too. I'm supposed to have one, but.
Or
to
but
call the
practice
police.
diving under the table.
We have talked about that before, and that's
Okay.
the reason why I moved from being where I was positioned to this position over here. That's why I carry this now in here. I also have my body worn camera on at all times. And our night officer is out and about around here, because I make sure they're here for the most part to make sure we have security as well.
Okay.
I mean, we also, if you're talking, that's like an extra staff, that's extra staff time, that's extra.
Well,
Yeah.
just, if that's the best place for him, if there's an active shooter there, I'm okay with that.
I think this is a great
That is
spot
actually
right
the
here.
Yeah. That's the first spot.
I got the best view of that door than anybody.
It's on you, Tom. You got to keep us.
I'm not allowed to carry.
Tom screams or ducks under the table.
No, we have discussed that, and that's why there's certain things that, for what we have staffed, that's why we're in certain positions and why I leave early from the meetings and so forth like that, is to make sure that when everybody exits from here, the parking lot's been cleared by me or one of my officers.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and human resources, that's in your packet. She's been super busy.
You have community development.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped you.
It's okay.
Community development.
So I've been asked to keep it brief tonight. So Dark Skies program, we're still moving forward with that. We're looking at planning a community event coming up just to celebrate the dark skies we have and educate people on the importance of dark skies in our community and the benefits of that. And we also are, as part of the program, we're going to get the meters, so we are going to start taking some measurements throughout the community in different areas just to see what the light pollution is in certain areas of our community. For the energy performance contracting, we did have our engineers from McKinstry here in January, and they would look through every facility, and they're putting together a matrix of potential energy savings projects that we can do for all our town facilities. So I'm sure we will be coming back to the board soon with a priority list of things that we would ask the board to weigh in on before they finalize their study on those potential energy savings. Our Growing Water Smart Metrics, this is the program that we were accepted to look at policies for how we can encourage our community to conserve water versus whether it's landscaping or changing fixtures in their older homes or things like that. Right now we're working with the Brindle Group and Sonoran Institute to look at our data. They're looking at 5 years of data for every property in the town limits, and just to kind of see who some of the bigger users are, but also to get some standards. What does it look like? What's the average home using in the winter months versus the summer months, so we can kind of determine what's being used for landscaping. And then coming up with a matrix that we can continue to update on a regular basis as we have new development coming into town as well. And so in conjunction with that, we're working with our water engineers to come up with a similar type, it's a calculation tool that we can use when we have a new development come into town, where we're looking at average use for single family, average use for commercial uses. We can plug numbers in, like what's the acreage, how many units, what are the types of units they're going to put on, plug it into this tool, and then it can tell us how much water we need to sustain that development for the long term. And so we're working with both of those in conjunction to get a better handle of how we handle our water moving forward with in terms of land use. So those are two really cool projects that we got going on with water. The Wells Group, they do an annual real estate forecast. A couple of years ago right after COVID, when I first started, it was video. It was all through Zoom. And now they're going to have it in person. And so they've asked me to come back on March 13th. It'll be at Fort Lewis College to give an update of projects in Bayfield. So I will be doing that. And then grant updates, Main Street, the revising Main Street grant for East Mill sidewalks. They're wrapping up the south side. The retaining wall work should be starting soon if it hasn't already this week. You could see it's already, they've got the construction fencing up on that. And then we're hoping to start the work on the north side in early spring when the weather permits. Our transformational affordable housing grant, we did receive a letter from La Plata County, a letter of intent for the $700,000, which I did include, which is required for us to get that $2 million grant funding. And you'll also see later in your packet the draft RFQ for the development partner. In the new updated agenda that Katie gave you, I had some red lines, which I will go through with you when we get to that item. And then so that's the county ARPA funds. And then congressionally directed spending, I did reach out again because we haven't heard about the $1.5 million that we're hoping to get for the Bayfield East Signal from the federal funding. And they said hopefully March or April a final decision on that budget item would be made, and we will hear then. So that's what I got.
All right. Thank you. And Amber's report is in there. We'll move on to our financial agenda. Do we have any?
Yeah, I have a question.
On that one or Amber's or?
Well, actually on Parks and Rec, who's not on the list.
And I have one on the manager, or town manager, and it's not on the list either.
So we have those on the first meeting month. So it'll be on March 5th. So there's half the department directors have it on the second meeting and half the directors have it on the first meeting. So if you'd like it on every meeting, I'd be more than happy to
Post it on the
do.
agenda, so.
No, but mine,
I'm okay
I don't
with
know if anyone, I don't know if we bought the new mower yet or not, but there is legislation being pending right now at the state level that they're gonna shut down all municipalities from gas-powered mowers and such. And if we're looking at buying a new, and it's supposed to be effective 2025 for what I'm hearing right now, so we may want to look into that before we
Sure.
just go buy a mower.
Gas and diesel or just gas?
I am not sure. I know, I heard gas, but I don't know if it's both or not. Like, they want to go electric power on everything.
For the mowers and trimmers and other sides.
Yeah, so if we're looking at buying a new mower, like, we don't want to go tomorrow and go buy a new gas mower, even though we got approval already.
The mower that we're buying is an attachment to a diesel-powered equipment.
I don't know. You have to look at the legislation. I don't know. Sorry.
No.
No, you're good. Thanks for the information, Tom.
All kinds of legislation rolling down. Okay, we'll move on to our financial agenda. We have any public input on 5A through D on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to our January 2024 financial statement.
Well, there's not a whole lot to tell you for just the first month, but in January, we did receive the November 2023 sales tax, as well as the annual natural gas franchise fee, the fourth quarter HUTF money, and we have also received our fourth quarter grant reimbursements for the school resource officer, the HIDA grant, and the DOLA broadband grant. We received all those funds in January, so they've all been moved back to December. Other than that, everything is just pretty much as we expect for the month of January. The police department has used $161,000 of their capital improvement money in the month of January. That was for the invoice to utility for the 8 complete systems of in-car and body-worn cameras, and for their first patrol car that was purchased. Other than that, the sewer fund, we have made the first of 2 annual payments on the wastewater treatment facility loan and the infiltration loan. So those were made in January as well. Interest earned in the month of January for the Collar Trust accounts was $49,106. And that is it for the financial statement.
So there's a $10,000 charge that we're paying for ClearGov?
Yes.
When will we have that up?
2023, the link I sent you, that one's up. We haven't had a chance to get 2024 up yet, but that just became finalized. So we can get started on that soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finalize what they're talking about is it just got added into Cassell.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yep.
And is that for the year? Are there other fees for ClearGov? Is it total $10,000?
It's $10,000 a year.
And no monthly subscription or anything?
No.
Okay.
So for 2023, you have revenue and you have budget. And then for 2024, I'll be working on the data conversion for the budget from Cassell to ClearGov.
Okay. And then just an odd figure I noticed, trying to get to it very quickly, but I think it was in the administrative vehicle maintenance. It was a straight $500.
So that's in my contract.
What is that?
It's for instead of the town purchasing a vehicle, it's in my contract that you pay me for fuel and
It's a car allowance.
It's a car allowance.
Why is it as a maintenance? Shouldn't it go up with the salary?
It was no.
The last time you
Chelsea
gave me
negotiated.
a raise was 2021, and that's where it's been.
There's a line item in the contract.
Right,
Separate
but I'm
from
asking
salary.
for
It's separate from salary. It's taxed
all the
differently.
salary information is broken out above where the expenses are. So benefits, everything, and it seems like it would go in there.
So it's paid to me directly for my, so that I can cover my costs to use a vehicle. Now, and in the, it's not a benefit, it's not in the salaries, it's actually part of the vehicle. So whether the town purchased a vehicle and we used the WEX card for fuel, or actually you paid me directly. And this was a 2021 change, so it hasn't changed in almost 3 years.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? If you're good with the financial statement, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the January 2024 financial statement.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee Thomas?
Yes.
Trustee Wolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ah?
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Sales tax, Kathy did kind of go over that, but it is in that chart. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Should be good January.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the meter purchase.
Good evening.
We can hear you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Board of Trustees. We're looking for permission to order our next round of meters for year 3. The dollar amount is $74,917.92, and that would purchase 231 water meters and the associated gaskets.
That came in right under the wire, huh?
They've
Better
gone
than
up.
right over.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get 250 meters, but with the price increase, They went from 270 to 300 something.
Oh, that's a bummer.
We're in the wrong businesses, although.
I know, right? Seriously.
All right.
It was budgeted, so.
Mhm.
Unless you have questions for Corey, I would entertain a motion on that.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the core and main for $74,917.92 quote for the water meter purchase.
I'll
Second.
second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, we have an update on the senior center water
So-
heater.
Yeah, so I have a Post-it note with $10,664.83 is what has been spent to replace the water heater at the senior center. And I understand they have hot water today or yesterday.
Yeah? All right.
Was it originally
It's
23?
gonna be like 20,000.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
20.
so we started out with, 20,000 and we came down to $10,664.83.
Good job.
And we confirmed we had to have a 100-gallon one in there?
So this is spec'd by a plumber, and it was the same spec as when the building was built. So we went with those specs.
Okay.
And it was a plumber that made that call.
So did we check with the building guy too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we checked with our building inspector, we checked with our plumbing inspector, and we went through and found the old plans for the senior center when it was constructed and checked the specs of that as well.
And so why does it have to have a 100-gallon?
Because of the occupancy.
It's commercial, so there's different reasons. I'm not a plumber, so I couldn't really give you all the specifics of why that is.
What did our building inspector, did he point to some?
So he gave us two options. He said we use what was spec'd on the original plans because it was designed that way, or we pay a mechanical engineer to relook at the entire building to determine what size it is, and it could still come out as 100, and so we would have to spend more money to make that determination. So we decided just to use what was originally spec'd for the building.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Especially at half the cost of what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, thank you on that. All right, moving on to our action agenda items. Do we have any public input pertaining to 6A through D? We do.
Good evening. Kat Katzos, 525 Dove Ranch Road. I know the housing director of the Steamboat Springs area, and they're part of the affordable housing, and they've had huge success in getting affordable housing built for their community in multiple large apartment buildings and that sort of thing. So I saw that you were going to put out a bid or request for Cinnamon Heights, and I shared this with him, just wondering what his input would be. And he recommended Fading West out of Buena Vista, if you've heard of them, if you're aware of
Yes.
them. He said they've been phenomenal to work with, and if you're aware with the affordable housing in Steamboat, it is huge. And they just got willed or granted 500 extra acres in the valley prime area to extend their affordable housing. So they've done an exceptional job and have done it within reasonable budgets. But he highly recommended Fading West. So if you're not aware of them and you want to look them up and find out more about them, that might be of a benefit to you guys. So thank you.
Any other input? All right, we'll move on to ordinance 498, amending land use code article 9, flood damage prevention. Does the board have any questions or comments or any further clarification?
So this is kind of like that, there would be no benefit to not pass this.
We could actually cause harm to some of our residents if we don't pass it.
Right.
Those that have flood insurance can lose it. So we're kind of tied to that.
Any other questions from the board? I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 498, adopting the land use code amendments for Article 9 flood management prevention with the following findings, findings A and B.
We have a motion on the floor
I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, you girls will have to step out for 1 second. This should be. Okay, the Orchard PUD amendment. Unless the board has any other questions or clarifications. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the Orchard PUD amendment with the following findings and conditions. Findings A, conditions 1 and 2.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, we can get him back in here. And then we'll move on to Cinnamon Heights request for qualifications.
I'd like to add a few things to this one. First, address Ms. Katzo's comment, because fading west is definitely something of interest to our region in terms of manufactured homes. They're the closest manufactured home provider we do have in the area. And the problem with Cinnamon Heights is it's part of an existing development, because we've already looked into manufacture or prefab modular construction. And because it's faster, you don't need as much, you don't need as many people doing the construction. So it's like Legos, essentially. It's shipped in and put together like Legos. And it's a really neat concept to keep housing costs low. But Cinnamon Heights is part of a bigger association, and so there's CC&Rs that actually prevent us from doing manufactured or prefab homes. We talked with the HOA at last year's board meeting, and there were some concerns from other members of the HOA, other residents, on what that looks like, and just the idea of that type of housing. And so we would have to amend the CC&Rs for that development in order to allow it. But it's definitely a good option to look at for the future, but for this specific development, if we want to spend the time trying to amend the CC&Rs, but otherwise conventional constructions is what's required per their CC&Rs right now. And so this RFQ, we've got $2.7 million that we want to bring to the table to look for a developer to do what we're calling a missing middle. For the longest time we called it workforce housing, but it's for people that are also not in the workforce, and so we're trying to change that to attainable or missing middle housing, which is our area median income of 80 to 120 is what the board had given us direction to look at. And so just to give you an idea, for a family of 4, the area median income of 80 to 120, they would need to make 83,000 to 124,000. So I would guess a lot of us in this room are in that 80 to 120 AMI, and that's who this housing is trying to target. And so what we're trying to do is find a developer to take on the project, ultimately getting the cost of the land that we put down back to the town, but in exchange we got $2.7 million in grant funding to help keep the infrastructure costs down. So we're looking for a developer who's done something like this before, that understands what they're building, the product that they're building, knowing that they're going to have $2.7 million to help bring the cost of this housing down and ultimately deed restrict these units. And so I did ask a few members of different groups that I know that are involved in housing to do us a favor and just take a look at the RFQ and give their thoughts. And I did get some last minute comments after this went into the packet, and that's why there's a red line version, because there were some very good comments that came out of those last minute ones that I did feel that should be included. Clarification on the date that the actual grant is for the infrastructure and not for all the construction. There was some concern coming out that building 30 units in Bayfield by the end of 2026 could be a big, but they have to get all the infrastructure in for that grant. And so I just wanted to clarify that deadline on that first page. And then just a few things like making sure that the developer understands that they'd be responsible for financing and selling the units, and that we're just bringing to the table the $2.7 million, as well as fee waivers, which are allowed in our building fee resolution for affordable, attainable housing. We can grant fee waivers for building permits. The 2.7 also is meant to cover the plant investment fees per unit as well. And so just spelling some of that out. Someone had mentioned the square footage should be in there so they understand what size units that they're constructing, so I wanted to put that in there. And then adding a range versus just saying we're trying to hit 325, which is kind of that middle. Here's a range. If it's for a family of 4, 80% to 120 AMI, the housing should be 280,000 to 460,000. So we'll work with the developer, but that's the range that we're trying to hit.
Still not affordable.
Yeah, 120 AMI.
It doesn't exist.
And then also just making it clear that we're giving 2.7 million, and that if their infrastructure costs come in over that, they've got to fund the rest, and that the town's not bringing more to the table than that grant funding. So I just want to make some of those clarifications in there. And then also some suggestions on part of the proposal, some of the things that we want to see them provide as part of the proposal. So that's on page 5. So again, really good comments and feedback I got back that I wanted to just include as part of the RFQ, and that's why there's a red line version. Happy to answer any questions.
Where do you tend to post it?
So we do need to post it on BidNet, the Rocky Mountain BidNet. But also just getting the word out there with the Homes Fund, Homes Fund's part of it, but the Regional Housing Alliance, and just kind of getting the word out there, I think, verbally as well. But ultimately, they do need to respond via BidNet, which is what the town uses for our
in the
proposals.
event that this comes under, if you get a good bidder, they can leave your contingency alone. If it comes under the 2.7, could they use that towards going vertical?
So I'd say the 2 million, probably not. That's for infrastructure. But the 700,000 with the county, we'll be working on a contract. We'll see if we can keep that flexible to help with vertical. But honestly, those engineering cost estimates are already like 1.5 years old when we did that. So chances are it's going to cost more than that, because that was based off engineering cost estimates, and we all kind of know how that's playing out right now.
Okay.
So chances are more than likely they're gonna have to bring some money to the table for the infrastructure as well.
What's the site improvements, including landscaping, concrete, and asphalt? I guess I'm not understanding how that's into infrastructure, isn't that, I mean,
It was
obviously
part of our infrastructure packet for the engineering. So we included that as part of the grant request.
So it's for engineering. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep, so that was, even though it's not technically engineering, we were able to include that as part of our grant request.
Pay out of pocket.
It's not the physical unit, it's still site work on the ground.
Crazy.
So, and then these other multiple financial incentives that the town will provide, we're giving them all those 1 through 11?
And most of them's done, like the existed platted lots. I mean, we bought them as existed platted lots. We do need to replat them, so that will be coming before the board soon, hopefully. Once we get our final, we have a separate engineering firm reviewing our engineers' work just to make sure that we have that checks and balance system. So once that's complete, we do need to replat the existing plat. Some of the units are not built within their footprint. And so we're gonna clean up the plat for existing units as well as change some of our platted lots based on the engineering site plans that we have. But we're gonna also clean up the existing units are not built within, like I said, their footprint. But all of this, we've done the site engineering, geotech, we've done the preliminary. They're still gonna have to do their final geotech with their foundation work. But we did preliminary, we have a drainage study, we have all the architectural plans that were from the original 2006 approval, but we had our architects review them based on our current building codes to make sure that they meet the 18 codes, so we have that. We have a phase 1 environmental. We're gonna look at the building permit fee waivers. We're drafting deed restrictions. We've already paid Homes Fund to do that work. And then Homes Fund offers the home buyer assistance and qualifications for the deed restrictions. So all that, as well as the 2.7 million in grant funding.
And water and sewer taps and.
Yep,
planned
that's part of
investment
that 2.7, yeah.
fees. This is all part of the 2.7.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or work that we've already done, not all part of 2.7. Some of this was work that the town's already paid for.
So they'll get 2.7 plus.
Plus this.
Our expenses.
But in
here.
exchange, we do want the cost of the lots that we purchased back. So that's 700,000.
Yes. 40 something.
Yeah. So, and we'll negotiate that with the developer on when that's paid. There's a couple options. They either pay it up front and buy the property from us outright, knowing that we'll give them the 2.7 million in grant funding, or at the time the sale of the units, each unit, a portion of that comes back to town. So we'll have to figure that out as part of the contract negotiations with the developer.
So essentially, it's 2 million for them. We get our 700 back.
But we don't have the 700 yet.
Well, right, we'll get back the 700 we don't have yet.
Right.
Right. So essentially,
we won't get
yes.
the- and we don't get the 2 million until we get the
The developer, the guy building the place, is
7.
gonna get 2 million to build how many units?
No, it's,
For the
no, it's actually
infrastructure.
$2.7 million is actually coming to reimburse the contractor for infrastructure work. And then if they purchase the lots outright, that would be an additional $700,000.
Yeah, so you're right, though. It'd come to 2 million, because that 700 will cancel each other out.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the grant has to be,
Used a certain way.
yeah.
So they can't turn around that grant and use it to pay us for the lots, because we have to manage the grant and how it's spent. But essentially, you're correct. We're giving them
It's just-
$2 million to build this. And they sell them, and they'll
Yeah,
make
they're
a
still gonna
profit.
profit off of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just feel like buying the land for
We're just buying the cost,
700,000 and
we're buying their profit cost down by 2 million to get those units down in price, but they're still gonna make a profit off.
So they're paying for the sewer taps and the paving of the road after we tear it all up?
The 2.7 includes the paving of the road. We put that in our engineering cost estimate.
And
So
water-
repaving the road's part of that original engineering cost estimate that we used to calculate that 2.7 million.
I just find it so hard to believe that all that infrastructure that was put in is just worthless.
Well, no, it's, there were, so the
Not all of it.
infrastructure, the mains, the water and sewer mains will remain. This is all service. These are all service lines, and drainage. But they already have water and
quite a
sewer
bit
mains
out
in the road, and then it's repaving the road after construction, because it needs it now, and so we added that. But this is for the actual service lines, the private lines, or the HOA-owned facilities like detention ponds.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad deal for somebody, you know, if they were to buy that land and try to do this themselves, they'd have a lot more
That's why
cost.
Well, it's 2 million less. Yeah.
So,
They'd
yeah,
have a harder time selling them too, 'cause.
yeah. Yep.
right.
There's a lot of
Any other-
affordable housing financing opportunities out there in the world nowadays, so those
Well,
developers can
We'll see. I mean,
tap into that.
it's a lot of these are unusual now, and communities are just trying to figure out how to get these projects built. And so much of the grant funding, most of the grant funding, as you'll see on the next item, the municipalities are getting, not developers.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out how we stay involved in this, because that's the only way we're going to get the grant funding.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
So we have been awarded 2 million in grant funding.
2.7.
2 million from the state,
2.7.
700,000 from the county.
We don't have 700,000.
It's,
Yes,
have a
we do.
promise
The
letter.
promise
It's-
letter.
We have a promise letter to provide us with a contract.
Yes.
Which means
For the
money's coming in.
700,000.
For the 700,000.
Yeah,
The
but
board-
I can give you a letter and say, I'm gonna give you.
No,
this.
I mean,
It's, so there's
The county.
There's such a thing in the world of finance. It's called a letter of credit, and in essence, the letter of intent is similar to a letter of credit. So
A letter of intent.
Any grant these days, you have a contract or a letter, and that's where you're at until you start spending money. And when you start spending money, then you ask for reimbursement. In today's world, no grant is provided up front unless it's a very small grant.
All right, so.
Earmarked
What
for-
I've read in here, I just want to make sure I'm reading it right. We have $2 million awarded.
It's
We need
2.7.
700,
million.
We already have $2.7 million awarded.
but we have to come up with that 700.
No.
The county, so the Board of County Commissioners, through their ARPA funds, has set aside 700,000 for the town of Bayfield for this
basically, the
project.
county
So do
gave
we
us a
have a
grant.
contract? to
That's
see?
what we're working on. So
Okay.
their attorneys take time.
Right.
And so I needed something to give to the state, so the state will continue the process to give us the 2 million. So the county put together this letter, and they approved it at one of their county commissioner meetings on the 6th, February 6th, they approved that, so that I can keep moving forward with the state, and that gives us time to work with the county to finalize the contract. But they're essentially saying they're giving us the money, we just got to finalize the contract with
And-
them.
And what are the terms of the contract?
We haven't done that yet. That's the
So-
next step.
So,
But so
Typically-
originally they were telling us that it would be a loan until the project's complete and then a grant, and that was from their attorney. But the Board of County Commissioners, the three of them said, no, this is a grant. They don't want to do a loan with us. This is a grant. They want to give us grant funding. So they've made that decision already. So we're working on those terms. But again, I needed something, so the state, because the state takes the longest, and I need the state to continue moving with the release of the funds. And so they provided this until their attorneys and our attorney finalize a contract for us for the grant funding of 700,000.
You want Matt's number? You can call him and.
no, I'm just saying,
I
I'm
did the
not
same
one.
thing. I'm like,
I'm not one to
you
walk
promise this?
into a
No,
contract
it's-
without reading it first.
No, it's,
Yeah,
You're not
it's a
gonna-
grant.
yeah.
When we
That's
have a
all.
contract, we'll make sure it's routed
Yeah.
around.
So to me, until that contract is signed, we don't actually have the 2.7.
I don't have anything right now.
Right. We don't have anything,
We don't have-
right.
Yes.
So
But
I'm wondering why,
we've got approvals
do
to
you
get
have
it.
to put, do you have a timeline for why are we doing the RFQ now? Do we have a timeline for that?
So what I told them is the county is I'd like to have a contract by mid-April before we do any awards or anything for our RFQ. So we won't award an RFQ until I have guarantees on the funding. So that's our timeline.
So if you'll notice, basically in the dates, the request for qualification dates that has been listed there, the publication would be March 1st. And then basically this will go to contractor. So evaluation of the proposals, no money has been spent on any infrastructure whatsoever. We may interview those contractors, and then the decision by the Board of Trustees, basically by April 16th, you're going to have a contract from the county. You're going to have, keep in mind that all grants are, you apply, you get awarded, and then you wait for a long time for a contract. From the state, it took how long for CDOT? Over 9 months?
$30,000, it took a year.
Yeah,
So I got awarded, but I didn't get the contract for a year.
and it's not very often that I've ever seen a agency pull back an award unless we created the issue.
So I'm just wondering why we're doing RFQ now.
Because we're running out of time for
we gotta-
development. So we apply for this grant funding for housing, and then they say, okay, you have to have it done by this time, but wait, it's gonna take us a year to give you the contract. I'm on a tight schedule. Construction season starts in the spring here, and it ends in the fall. And so I gotta get this moving with the intent that everyone's telling me things are gonna play out.
Okay.
And we won't award a contract with on the RFQ until we know all that plays out. But I've got to have everything moving at the same, otherwise we're gonna miss this season and we're not gonna meet the 2026 deadline for that. So it's all a timing game for construction season. And everybody's getting busy. They're already filling in their projects for this year. And so I gotta get on people's radars. But we won't award a contract until we have the contracts in place. But I can't wait for all
Bunch
that.
of moving
I gotta
parts.
keep
It's
moving.
just timing.
Yeah.
Timing is
Right.
really important. And if you've ever seen a general contractor's, sheet of their, their schedule, there's a lot of overlaps. And in this case, there's going to be an overlap from the time we send out this publication looking for eligible contractors to the day that we actually have a contract. I mean, just in this schedule alone, it's a month and a half. And then by that time, we're in spring.
Yeah. And if somebody doesn't apply, I have to do this again and kind of adjust things. And so we just need that time. So it's just like Katie said, it's timing. But we won't finalize any contracts until we have contracts in place.
Okay.
There's a lot of these projects going on in the state, and those contractors are getting picked up pretty quick. So,
Well, and I know the board had mentioned, we would like to give preference to local. I did reach out to the state and said, can we do that as part of this grant? And they didn't say we couldn't. So that's how, we would love to give preference for our local builders and developers, if we can.
Good.
That's written in here as well.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I would entertain a motion if we're ready to move on.
Do we want to talk about the last one real quick?
Well,
Or you have to do
we'll
this
just
one first?
yeah.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to proceed with the RFQ as presented.
I'll second.
All right. And you're talking the red line version?
The red line version.
Yeah, as edited.
The red line
Thank-
version,
Thank you,
sorry.
thank you.
All right.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
No.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Nay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to resolution 608.
So just real quickly, we found another grant that we can apply for Pine River Commons for their housing, to keep their housing costs lower. This grant only covers public infrastructure, whereas the last one covered all infrastructure, so it'll be less money, but the municipality does have to apply, and then we would work out a contract with Pine River Commons to cover that public infrastructure cost, which eventually becomes our infrastructure. So we're talking water mains, sewer mains, and the public streets. So anything that's public on their project. And so this is just asking that we can make that application, and that town manager can submit and sign any contracts if it's awarded. It's due starting March 1st. And so we have a tight turnaround, but we feel we can use a lot of what we've done in the past for the application. And so that's what this one's about. So again, we're just going to be the middleman on this.
And the board did approve that, to give the green light to Nicole to help find these grants for that project, so. All right, if there's any questions on that?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 608.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
No.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Abstain.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Okay, you have your upcoming dates of interest. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Katie, or?
Don't have anything to add. We do have our leadership meeting tomorrow at 8:30. Trustee Hartz.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay, it is now 7:54. We are adjourned.